Hey guys, those are Weekend Vacations, and welcome to The Empire Strikes Back Revisited. This is probably on Lucy TV because I really don't want to edit the fucking shit. So basically, the last review I did for The Empire Strikes Back, I didn't really actually, I did it off of the recollection of what I remember seeing because I didn't have a chance to see the film again because of, my hectic work schedule. So I did see the film again recently, and there are just a few things that I wanted to talk about that I wasn't able to talk about in the other review. This is like the first time I've ever done something like this, so it's definitely interesting. Anyway, things I want to talk about, for one, in no particular order, are the score by John Williams. Yeah, the score by John Williams, the great score, the beginning, the first film had, of course, the iconic score, Of course, you had the Luke Skywalker theme, too. You had Dun, 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 ba, 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 bum, 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 bum. So, John Williams is hired to do basically what possibly could be an impossible task to not only create another memorable score for Empire Strikes Back and still contain elements from the original film, from Star Wars, but give something new, and he actually comes up with something, another piece of music that's just as iconic. And how often does that happen? Of course, I'm talking about the Imperial March. Everybody knows Imperial March, dun 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 dun. Ba-da-da, bum ba ba ba-da-da, bum ba ba ba-da-da. Bum 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 bum. So just great iconic piece of music. I just thought I'd mention that real quick. I don't think any of the Star Wars scores, if I remember correctly, won Oscars for Best Original Score. I don't know for sure or not, but I don't remember if they did or not. So anyway, you have a great score by John Williams, who not only manages to you basically, I didn't say top the original score, but actually successfully add a companion piece that's up to the same par of the original score, and that's no easy feat. So I can say thumbs up to John Williams. He's one of my favorite, all-time favorite movie composers. And another thing I want to mention about the film is that the film, it breaks basically almost every raw law of sequel movie making. It just basically doesn't have a beginning, a concise beginning or ending. It just starts out with Luke getting sneak attacked by the Wampa, and then it just goes into crazy action sequences, asteroid, belt chase, and all this other stuff, and Cloud City, and intercut with sequences, the rebels fighting the the AT-ATs and the snow speeders. You have the whole thing where it just goes, and you have, of course, it intercut with the sequences of Luke training with Yoda and Dagobah, and then of course it ends really with not very many questions answered. So not very many films exist like that, especially sequels, or in all honesty, even really just films exist that start out with no concise beginning or end and end with really no clue. I mean, the film just ends with Luke getting his hand fixed and putting his arm around Leia, and then you don't know what happens after that. The Rebel fleet flies off, and then it's the end of the movie. But, unlike a lot of films, that if they had those problems, you'd probably be pissed off and be like, what the fuck is this shit? Empire Strikes Back actually works. The fact that it is not cohesive, I guess, really works in its favor, which is really strange. So, also, you have basically talked real briefly, too, about Yoda. And of course, everyone saw Yoda is a very memorable character and everything and all that. But what really stood out to me is actually how amazing Yoda, Frank Oz's performance as Yoda really is. And I guess back in the day, how impressive it is too in terms of acting. I mean, it's just a puppet, but he just manages to put this. He just he makes this puppet come to life in a way that I don't think even CGI. I mean, people get Andy Serkis, Planet of the Apes. Should get an Oscar. Andy Serkis, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Oscar. Da, da, da. And I'm like, I believed Yoda as the puppet more than I believed any footage from Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because Rise of the Planet of the Apes is an obviously CGI. I prefer Puppet Yoda from Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi any day over CGI, backflipping, crazy frog Yoda in, the prequels. But, it just seems Frank Oz brought something to the role that it was just a puppet, but he just made it real, and it's amazing. And it's also one of the first films to really successfully blend the two, a puppet and actual actors, other than the Muppet Show or the Muppet Movie came out in 1979. Or I don't think it was 79. I think maybe it was 79 or 78. Another Muppet Show came out around the tail end of the Muppet Movie came out at the tail end of the 70s. But basically, it's an impressive performance. And George Lucas, I guess, actually lobbied for Frank Oz to get an Oscar nomination, and of course didn't work, because Oscars a bunch of Oscars are a popularity contest, and they honestly said, well, it's a puppet. We can't honestly, give that a nomination. Out of all the actors that got nominations in 1980, I'm pretty sure Frank Oz deserved to be in that scenario. Frank Oz is a great, I don't know if he's passed away or not yet. I don't know for sure, but he does great stuff with his voices. He's a great voice actor, and he actually is such a good voice actor that he actually carries that across to the puppet, that the puppeteers are working with. And it's definitely a sight to be. It's a wonder to behold. So basically, I can't do the Yoda voice. My friend Effrey does a lot better job with that. Probably wondering, why am I trying to whisper, not being as loud? Well, Mom's in bed. Mom's asleep. Don't want to wake her up. The whole thing. So hopefully, at least this will still work out. You guys will be okay with it, hopefully. So anyway, basically, you have. And plus, my voice is kind of. So, that's another reason why I'm not being too loud. Most impressive. No, sorry. Anyway, basically you have Yoda. It's impressive. I really thought the performance of Yoda really stood out. And then there are a couple other things I wanted to mention. I didn't get a chance to mention about Empire Strikes Back. The fact that it definitely does take advantage of what people thought was this relationship that was budding between Han and Leia, and it definitely works in its favor, and it's great to see it finally unfold. Great chemistry between the two, and I already talked about it in the review earlier. But just great stuff in the beginning, and especially the beginning of the film. I want to talk about, is the way it starts is totally unlike what you're expecting. Luke, he didn't show any vulnerability, really, in all honesty, except for his parents, except for, Aunt Beru and his uncle dying. But in the beginning of the film, he gets slashed by a Wampa, and then you realize, well, shit, well, he obviously, he's not unstoppable, that's for sure, which I like that. And then you have a really kind of a pretty badass moment, and I talked about it a little bit in the review, but I didn't really say the right line. When Han finds out Luke is lost, in this snow desert of Hoth somewhere, and he wants to go find him. And of course, the guy says, like, your tauntaun will freeze to death before you get to reach the next pass. Then I'll see you in hell. I mean, it's really ballsy for a film back then to start off with a swear word of all things. So basically, Empire Strikes Back is also a really dark film. And it basically inspired a lot of sequels to basically do their own Empire Strikes Back and be super dark and, and it's amazing how much it still, was enjoyable to kids and parents and adults and basically people of all ages enjoyed the film. Now, also some sad notes about the film. John Barry, I think, was one of the second unit directors. He actually passed away on the set. So that's for them to complete the film despite all these, side tragedies like, John Barry passing away. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And just, the fact that ILM was hired to do this film and do even grander effects, just literally just twice as much workload as they did in the first film. And this is only maybe a span of maybe 2 or 3 years after the first film was completed. There's a lot on ILM's shoulders. And for them to complete and do all these effects successfully the way they did, it's pretty goddamn impressive. And no amount of CGI tinkering or whatever is going to make it any less so. I mean, in all honesty, the thing with George Lucas, he, all we want is originals on DVD or Blu-ray in a format that is actually good. That's not shitty. That's all we want. And if we, the fans, actually got that, people who paid for your Skywalker Ranch, we wouldn't be bitching about anything. People bitch about Star Wars still if we finally did get the DVDs that we want. Kind of nutty. But anyway, basically just a few little things here and there about Empire Strikes Back. I don't know if I'm losing my voice or something. I hope not. So I'm trying to purposely be quiet. It's kind of freaking constricted on my throat. Just like, probably don't need to hear that, right? It's nasty. But anyway, I think I'll leave this retrospective on this note. Something I've always wondered after the end of the film, when Luke is saved, from Cloud City by Lando and Leia and company. Somebody answer this question for me. Why the fuck is Lando wearing Han's clothes? Could somebody explain that shit? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, what the fuck? I never noticed it. I didn't really pay that much attention to that until much later, until I watched the film again. And then later I'm like, what? That's just wrong. You not only betray Han and your best friend, supposedly, and get him locked up in carbonite, you wear his fucking clothes? You sick fuck. I just thought, like, what was probably after the sequence in the movie, can you imagine what was the sequence later with Leia, realizing I'd be like, Lando? Why are you wearing Han's clothes? Leia. That's a good question, Leia. I always admired Han's taste in clothing. Take them off now. That blue sweatshirt was getting really itchy. And who wears a cape? It's not sexy or suave or anything. I don't care, Lando. Stop this thing, this piece of junk, and change your clothes. So anyway, this is like, what is the explanation? Why the fuck would why Lando would just change into Han's clothes? One other explanation I thought was maybe he's like, well, Leia, these are actually mine. I lost them in a bet with Han. For some reason, he likes wearing them. But anyway, that's a dumb explanation, and it's just creepy if that's the way. There's no explanation for it. I read the book. There's no explanation for it. The book doesn't even talk about it. I don't know. Was it sheer laziness? Was it a joke on the director's part? I have no idea. And it's quite frankly, it's kind of disturbing that directly after Lando basically sells Han to the Empire and then, sells him to Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt at the same time, that he'd be wearing his clothes. But anyway, I mean, just wanted to mention a few things here and there about The Empire Strikes Back that wasn't able to mention in the earlier review. And, of course, one more thing that is, I just thought I had to mention it. one of the most iconic quotes in film history. Everybody quotes it from this film, and they're quoting it wrong. You're doing it wrong. What quote am I talking about? I'm talking about this quote, that everybody says this quote this way. Doesn't even matter if they've even seen the film or not. You know, when the whole revelation at the end of the film, when Vader, tells Luke, who he really is, everybody says this: Luke, I am your father. No, that's impossible. That's wrong. Wrong. You are wrong. Vader never says that. Ever. Never. I don't know where that came from. I even find myself thinking that that's the way he said it at times too. I mean, I have a storybook, and I don't think it said it that way. I mean, I can get it right now, and honestly, we'll prove this and see. So I've heard people say that the storybook is where it sort of started. And here's my Emperor Strikes Back storybook, and I'm going to see if that's the fact. Because I used to read this as a kid, because I got this at Goodwill. So, we're going to see if this is... No. Even the storybook doesn't say that. The storybook does the same thing. Don't make me destroy you. You are strong with the Force. Now you must learn to use the dark side. Join me, and together we shall be more powerful than the Emperor. Come, Luke. I will complete your training, and we will rule the galaxy together. No! I will never join you! If you only knew the power of the dark side, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me you killed him. No, Luke. I am your father. Dun dun dun. Seriously, that's how it's said. It's no, Luke. I am your father. It's not Luke. I am your father. It says no first. Everybody forgets the no part. So, I mean, it doesn't say it that way. And actually, the storybook did fuck up there. Now that I think about it, it's fucked up. This is where people come up with this stupid... It's not how he says it in the freaking movie. It says, no, Luke, I am your father, came from the storybook, so this is where it came from. So I just found the source, and it's bullcrap. That's not how it's said in the film. Thanks a lot, whoever wrote this storybook. Who the fuck just had that revelation now as soon as I fucking tried to say it was right, and then I realized it was fucking wrong. SHEP STENEMAN, thanks for fucking up and making everybody believe this crap. No, I'm being exaggerating. It's not crap. It's a little teensy mistake. But the fact that it survived after all these years because of the mess up in this storybook is unbelievable. So basically, he never says Luke. Vader never says Luke at one point. He says, no, I am your father. Never says Luke. Never says it one time in the film. And that's everybody and their grandmother and their grandmother's grandmother, they basically remember it as Luke, I am your father. But that it's never said. It's never said in the film that way. So I thought I'd end this revisited with that perfectly, because one of the most iconic lines, it's funny. How often has been one of the most iconic lines in film history been flubbed? Not very often. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Because it's not like John McClane says something else than yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. It's the same line. It's not different. So, it's just crazy how that has actually survived after all these years. SHEP STENEMAN, fuck you! You stupid dumbass. No, seriously. I'm fine with SHEP STENEMAN. Hey, it's okay. You made a mistake. You didn't think it was going to last all these years in a little storybook? You never thought a storybook would, create some confusion between one of the best quotes of all time? But hey, it's okay. It's alright. I forgive you. So anyway,